Howdy folks, I'm Crimson Capes, carelessly caught in cool coastal currents.
I'm Amber.
And here are more cool coastal currents for us to get caught up in. So maybe parasailing. Let's get started on that. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for not letting my brother use my apartment for his private time anymore? I live alone in a small one-bedroom. I'm a 24-year-old female, and my brother Mike, a 27-year-old male, lives with our parents to save money. We're close, and I usually don't mind helping him out. Well, a few months ago, he asked if he could use my place to hang out with his girlfriend, Carl, sometimes. He said that our parents are always around and they never get any privacy. I agreed, and I told him just to give me a heads up. At first, it was fine. He would text me, and I would leave for a few hours. They would watch some movies or whatever, but it started getting weird. Carl isn't even the only person he's bringing over. Last month, I came home early because I felt sick. I found them in my bed, not watching movies. I was mortified. I told him that was crossing a line. He apologized and said that it wouldn't happen again. Well, then 2 weeks ago, I got home and noticed my expensive face cream was almost empty. It's $53 a bottle. I asked him about it, and he said that Carl used some because she forgot hers. So I just let it slide. Last weekend, I came back and found some food wrappers everywhere, my good wine glasses in the sink, and a weird stain on my couch cushion. The place smelled like candles that they had burned without opening a window. I texted him and said that I'm done. No more using my place. He began to call me back, but I didn't want to hear him. I was also kind of busy cleaning up. After all, I won't take any excuse whatsoever for him not cleaning up. Then he said things like me not knowing bro code, being bossy because I have it easier, and he was complaining bitterly about not being able to own a place himself, and to be honest, he wasn't being a jerk about it as expected, just being nice and loving after the crash out. It kind of made me question my decision at some point, but I had already had enough. My surprise is that he told my mom. And my mom apparently told him to let me keep being selfish and just ask for privacy in their house whenever he wants. I told my mom that I felt like I was being used at some point and that I'm not a hotel. I didn't sign up for cleaning up after them or sharing my skincare, and if that's being selfish, I'll just keep it that way. She talked about my brother getting married to Carl one day and that she'll always remember me being selfish, but should I care? Am I the jerk here? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, absolutely not the jerk. This is your private space. And you agreed to let your brother use it under specific conditions, and he violated those conditions. Like, if you're borrowing someone's place, you should be leaving it in better condition than the way you left it, or at least comparable condition. You should not be going and taking their personal items and using them without permission. Everything here that was going on is just not okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is really just a bad position that they put OP into. They should have been cleaning up after themselves, and the fact that they weren't shows a fundamental lack of respect for OP's space. OP was being more than generous, and the way they repaid that generosity is by giving OP extra housework to do. Like, that's not fair to OP, and I think that this kind of shows that the brother isn't going to respect OP's place here. And, I know that he's like, well, that's not bro code here, but it's not bro code to leave your sibling's place in a worse state than when you entered it, right? And also using someone's bed for those kinds of activities. Come on. Do you really need to be told not to? So I think that's kind of not great. Not great at all. Not a good look. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for using my fiance's TikTok feed to convince her to give a TV show a chance? Okay, so my fiance is really into super heavy, tragedy-filled shows and movies. And anyone who's seen BoJack Horseman can agree that it's full of tragic, depressing storylines. Well, try as I might to convince her to give it a shot, she just couldn't get past the art style, and the first season being sort of zany compared to the later seasons, and the way that it meanders along akin to some other adult animated shows one might see on Adult Swim, but shouldn't be skipped because you learn a lot about the characters in it, etc. She is also hopelessly addicted to TikTok, and is always talking about stuff that she sees in her feed. So I got the bright idea to look up BoJack Horseman clips and stuff like that when she wasn't looking. eventually flooding her feed with it. She was weirded out at first, but after seeing some of the stuff that happened later on, she was floored by how ridiculously heavy it gets, and decided to finally watch it. And she loved it. I eventually owned up to my little psyops, and she was livid and thinks that I'm a psycho now for going about it as I did. Did I ruin my relationship? Am I a psycho? I didn't do anything else on her phone besides look up BoJack Horseman on her TikTok, but I get the feeling that she doesn't believe me. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, you're in the wrong for manipulating your partner. I understand that you saw this thing and you're like, gee, she'll really like it. And I understand the frustration, that you thought this was going to be great and then she just wouldn't even give it a try. But that does not excuse you manipulating her.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like this was a level of manipulation. I mean, I don't know if this is any more manipulative, unfortunately, than what Google or, these other, places are doing. And I think that might be even where OP understands and got this idea from, is that, when you do search something in a feed, it's almost inevitable that your feed will be flooded with it, right? And that can be annoying because you watch one thing one time and then suddenly that's all you see in your feed. And it just gets to be very annoying. But I do think that OP and the other larger systems that are using these algorithms are being unethical here, right? Like, you shouldn't be weaponizing people's feeds against them like this. And I think that while OP might have been disappointed that their partner didn't watch it, they could have just watched it on their own and had the volume going or something like that, and then maybe the partner would eventually take interest in it, right? So I don't think that they're wrong here, and I think the partner, is entitled to be upset at OP for this. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Plot twist, you're the villain. And no, the worldly says, you're the jerk. While I think it's funny, I think going onto her TikTok is a bit invasive. If you kept sending her clips from your own account, that might also have worked. I do think like sending her clips and being like, oh, hey, I thought you might like this or something like that would be fine, right? And Judge Jed 100 says, you're the jerk? Yeah, I think that's kind of weird, dude. Why couldn't you just accept her no? She said that she didn't want to watch it. Does it really matter that she did end up liking it? That's just a justification after the fact. You did something weird and you wouldn't accept her no. And Miss Judge and Jury says, you're the jerk, and this is controlling and manipulative behavior. If you talked to her and she didn't want to watch it, you decided not to accept her answer, and you went into her phone and effectively manipulated her feed for your result that you wanted. While a TV show specifically may not be that deep of an issue, this behavior raises major red flags for larger issues down the road. And Wee Little Lioness says, that's a little extreme, dude, but they were downvoted a lot. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Crocheting at a Bar Ordering Drinks During the US versus Belgium World Cup Game? So I go to this bar and crochet 2 to 3 times a week, and usually get 2 to 3 beers depending on how long I'm there. I'm enough of a regular that they start pouring my beer when I walk in, and it's in front of me soon after I pick a seat and sit down. I also tip them accordingly. It is a sports bar, and I know that, but I can't muster up any energy for sports ball. They have never cared. Usually when I'm there early in the day, sports aren't playing, but it is the World Cup and sports ball seems to be on all day. No issue on my end. Well, today, I get to the bar around 3:30 Pacific time to drink and crochet. Well, we are in California, and I keep drinking and crocheting through the game. Then someone gets mad at me because I am not cheering when the US scores. Then they go off on me for taking up a bar seat in front of the television when I'm not watching. Something I've done many times before. I tell them to F off. Bartender gives me a look, I shake my head, and I brush it off. He gives me more attitude, and the bartender gives me another look, and I nod this time, and the dude gets kicked out. Not the end of it. Apparently, his friends are mad that he gets kicked out instead of me. Bartender tells them I'm a regular and I'm not causing an issue. So he welcomes me to stay over them. They leave me alone and we all continue through the evening. They seem to be mostly mad at the fact that I'm sitting at the bar in front of one of the 4 televisions, not actually watching the game. Am I the jerk for patronizing a bar that I go to regularly and not watching the World Cup game? I'll be there once the World Cup is over and they won't. Edit, one of the bar partners that wasn't even there today texted me tonight to let me know that the dude has been banned for the rest of the World Cup. Doubt that he actually cares. I will be back tomorrow and Saturday on my other usual day of the week. I will also clarify that there are 4 televisions in the area that I was at and 6 in the larger back bar area. There are no shortages of viewing spaces for the televisions. Bar has my side, so I will take it as is. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think that Opie is the jerk. It may be a little bit pretentious in the way they're writing this, but it sounds like there were plenty of TVs for everyone, and you're not obligated to watch TV just because you're at a bar with TV on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that OP is entitled to spend their time at the bar however they like. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of like third spaces these days. And I think that it's fine to spend your time outside of home, outside of work, in one of these spaces doing something like a hobby like this, right? They weren't harming anybody. They weren't taking up too much space. And I think that they're perfectly fine here. I think that these other people shouldn't have been harassing them. And if they really had a problem with this, they could have gone to one of the other televisions, you know, and not been around OP while they crocheted, you know? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for confiscating my daughter's PC after she lied and said that it was not for games? I'm a 46-year-old male and I have a 15-year-old daughter who has always been into computers. She likes programming, messing around with electronics, and has been accumulating things like Arduinos, Raspberries, sensors, and other little projects over the years. I have always supported that hobby because I think it's productive and educational. I'll admit that I'm not a tech person. I've also read and heard that programming isn't as in demand as it used to be because of the newer AI technologies, although I don't really know enough to have a strong opinion on that. My attitude has basically been, if she enjoys it, great. Well, a few months ago, she wanted to build her own desktop computer using mostly secondhand parts that she found online. I was hesitant because computer parts are expensive, but eventually agreed under one condition, that it wasn't going to be used for gaming. She already owns a PS5 and a Switch. Those are devices that she's allowed to game on, and only to a reasonable extent on weekends. I didn't want another gaming device in the household. She promised me that it was for programming and tinkering. I'm supportive to an extent, but I know these things are not in demand anymore. The computer was finally finished recently. I hadn't really paid much attention to the hardware because I don't know what any of it means. Well, a few days ago, I walked into her room to talk to her while she was turning on the computer. The monitor showed this huge logo saying Republic of Gamers. That immediately sounded exactly like what I had told her not to build. I asked her why a computer meant for programming would have gamers plastered across the screen. She couldn't give me a good explanation and claimed that it was just their brand. Later, I asked my older son, 17, who knows a lot more about computers, what she had actually built. He asked what other parts were in it, and I told him the graphics card was a 3080 because I had seen the box. He immediately told me that was a high-end graphics gaming card, and basically said, yeah, it's definitely for gaming. That really bothered me because I felt like she had deliberately gone against the agreement that we had made. If she had come to me and said that she wanted a gaming PC, I would have said no. Instead, she called it a programming computer and then built something from everything that I've been told is a gaming machine. I end up confiscating the desktop and told her that she isn't allowed to use it anymore. She's furious and insists that she's telling the truth. She says that programmers and people doing graphics work also use powerful GPUs, and that just because something can play games doesn't mean that's actually why she bought it. From my perspective, I made one condition, and everything that I've seen points to her breaking it. I also feel hurt because I trusted her, and it seems like she found a technical loophole. My wife thinks that I should at least hear our daughter out before prematurely taking the computer away or ask her to change the gaming parts. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, OP, I think you're the jerk. First of all, it sounds like you're not very well informed in this area, so you're judging your daughter based off of information your son is giving you, which may or may not be correct. Yes, you know, you could use this machine for gaming, but you need a GPU for all kinds of other graphically intensive things. And if she's building her own games, she may need, you know, a GPU for rendering images and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to this. I have a gaming PC or a gaming laptop. and I don't do a lick of gaming on it. You know, I do a lot of programming on it. I do a lot of simulations and modeling, and I do a lot of other type of graphically intensive stuff on it. But I don't use it for gaming. And sometimes you need a really powerful gaming GPU to do some, useful things on it, right? So I don't think that she could very well not be using this for gaming. And Republic of Gamers is just a motherboard brand, so I don't think that this necessarily is indicative that she's using it for gaming. She could just be using it for programming, as she says she is. Now, if Opie really wants to, they can look at the computer, or even maybe have their son examine it, the other child, to see if there is actually any gaming software on this. But my gut is that they should believe their daughter until they see her playing a video game. And, because I don't think, like, again, like, he hasn't, it's not like he said, oh, I caught her in the middle of playing a video game here or anything like that, right? He caught a sign on the computer that said Republic of Gamers, which is just a brand, you know? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the policeman give the sheep a ticket?
The policeman gave the sheep a ticket, and I can tell you exactly why. I mean, I actually saw this unfold. I was there. I was walking home, one day, and from work. And usually I work from home, and this was no exception. And so basically, I was walking in a circle, but I saw the flashing lights and the sirens, and I saw it all unfold. And there was this police officer, and he pulled the sheep over, and the sheep, it just, bawed at him. And the officer, looked at the sheep and said, "You can't be driving, you're a sheep." But the sheep just, continued to baw at him. And, that's why the officer pulled him over, because sheep can't actually drive cars.
She made an U-turn.
I'm sure she did. And I have licorice spice. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Special Sunday, folks. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on trusting your children.
It's okay for children to have creative hobbies, and you shouldn't jump to conclusions.
No. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.